here from the Eclectic Gamer to talk about the games we played in June. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
It's going to be a new
segment.
We're going to see
Series.
if people like it.
And we're playing a lot more games, so there's like a lot more to talk about. I don't know if we're going to be able to talk about all of them in their own videos.
Exactly. So first up, this finally came in the mail. Woo!
Stephanie was so excited about this just because of the little lemonade eeples and the burgers and the pizza.
Pretty much. I had been looking for a heavier game to play, and theme wise, the idea of running your own fast food chain seemed right up my alley. Not that I work in fast food at all, but I like the idea of starting my own business and then competing against other businesses, and I really like the retro kitschy 50s
I'm
food
pretty
feel.
sure it was like 50% retro style, 30% cute meeples, and then 20% the other stuff. But
sure. But if that were the case, I don't think I would like it as much as I did, because
that's why you bought it.
That's okay, maybe. But I really enjoyed it. We've only been able to play this game twice so far. Once, just the two of us. And
we played it twice too. We played a full game. We played the starter intro.
Oh
game.
yeah, I didn't count the intro game.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And then we played it with a 4-person group. We all sucked at it because we are brand new to this style of game, brand new to this game in particular, and this is definitely a game that I think you certainly develop better decisions the more that you play this game.
So in the game, there's like a map that's like the city. It's like a grid. Your houses on the grid that get like demand for different foods, and you have your restaurants on it. And then you can choose to either go into marketing to put more demand on the houses, or burger chefs, or all that kind of stuff. And I think the 4-player game was really funny because we essentially like plastered the market with advertising such that almost no one could. The houses wanted like 2 burgers and a Coke, and no one could actually fulfill it.
What the houses wanted.
It was pretty hilarious,
which was problematic. And also, Adam and I were trying to play a very similar strategy, and I ended up going after you for the majority of the turns, which meant I got shut out of everything.
It was also interesting because you went for like a slightly different. Like we got most of the same things we wanted, but you went for a slightly different strategy, and it went wildly divergent in terms of success.
So it's kind of a harsh game in the sense of I feel like I made a mistake on turn 2. And that kind of defeated me in the game for the rest of the game. I still enjoyed playing the rest of the game, though, so I didn't really mind that, particularly because we're all totally new at it. But I'm looking forward to playing more of this. What do you think?
I'm concerned that the differences in strategy aren't going to be that interesting to me. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'm just not sure where it's going to fit into my rotation. Generally we've liked a lot of sort of like story-based games, and like thematic games that like change a lot, or like where your actions really can like make a story in and of themselves. So like obviously Betrayal at House and Hill has like 50 different stories, and there's an expansion to get more, and like you can play that game. We played that game
we played that game probably at least 100 times.
Not that many.
Because I feel like it's the first game we bring out whenever we're like, hey, check out this new game.
Yeah, I don't know if we played that. I think we played like 30 or 35 times, and somehow we haven't gotten much overlap. But like that, you go like, okay, this is totally different. When you play Dominion, like all the different setup, to me, that like it's like, oh, the strategy is totally different. These are new things that I haven't never seen interact with each other before. Whereas this, the only randomness is the initial layout, right?
It's the initial layout.
There's no other randomness,
Most
right?
of the randomness comes from what your opposite players.
That's not randomness, though.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how the strategy changes, is by what other decisions are being made. So
I
could see
cautiously optimistic.
I can also see us finding it difficult to bring this game out because it's not. I think it was better as a 4-person game than as a 2-person game. And there aren't too many people that I think we could get to play the game with us who are okay with playing a deeper, heavier strategy game. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yep.
We also got 2 other Euros, which is pretty much a brand new category for us.
Stephanie's been doing a lot of research into games, and she keeps saying like, "Oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool," and you're getting a little more clear-headed. So like, you're ready to like tackle these strategic games, right?
That is true. And I've gotten a little bored, I think, playing the same story games over and over again. So I've been looking to branch out into a new category. So the 2 Euros that we picked up this month, we've only been able to play them once, 2-player with each of us. First one is Concordia.
Look at the size of this box.
This
is
box.
ridiculous.
Okay, first off, this box shape is ridiculous and totally unnecessary.
We talk about the important things here.
Yes, exactly. Lucky for us, we have semi-deep shelves, so it still fits on its side this way.
This is 100% because they didn't want to fold the board in 6 pieces. They wanted to fold it in 4 pieces, so you get this.
And also, the cover is a little...
Goofy?
Strange? I don't know. It doesn't have anything to do with the game. So, the game, it turns out, is actually... it's an engine builder where you're where you have places in different provinces.
You build houses in different provinces that each produce different goods.
And they produce different goods, and then you trade those goods in to buy these cards. And the cards are what allow you to take actions and also your scoring mechanism at the end of the game. And they're all themed to Roman gods. So I'm kind of shocked that this isn't Roman god themed on the front.
Well, I mean, the gods aren't anything other than Venus likes grain places, so you get.
But I think it's a cooler theme to highlight than.
I mean, she's trading stuff in the marketplace with the dude for silk. I mean, that's basically the game.
Touche.
So I love ancient Roman stuff. So that I was definitely in for this.
I don't think anybody goes yes. I love trading things.
Trading in the Mediterranean.
Grapes, yes, exactly. Whereas a lot of people love Roman mythology. So that's my only critique there. But the gameplay itself, I thought
it's shockingly interesting.
Really interesting. So you do have your randomized setup that Adam loves so much, because you have.
It's really cool because
which places produce the different goods changes every time.
But it's not totally random. So it's like these are the A cities, and there's a certain number of A tokens. So you're never gonna get all 3 silks in the one province, in one area, right?
That's true.
But they could be way spread out. They could be. We had one where they're all right pretty close next to each other, but it's like semi-random. So kind of like Pandemic's deck stacking. It's random, but it's semi-random because there's an order to it.
Yeah, that's true. And then the order in which the cards come out, which are the actions that you can take once you purchase them, those are random as well. In a way, you still have them separated in different ages, and they come out in order that way.
And you see them you get 7 of them at a time, and usually the ones that are 7 down are really expensive to get. So you can see them a little in advance and prepare for it.
And there's also different maps. So the board is 2-sided. You have
all of it.
Italy on one side, or Italia, or I don't remember what they're calling it, on one side, and then on the other side you have
the whole Roman Empire.
The whole Roman Empire. We were so impressed by the one game we bought, or by the one game that we played of it, 2-player that we bought.
Is it over here?
It is over here.
I got it.
It's not opened yet. That we bought the Britannia and Germania expansion, which we heard had a better 2-player map on it, so that we could play more 2-player.
Yeah.
So that game will definitely, I think,
it worked really well for 2 players.
Future plays. I'm really excited to play it with more players as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I bet it's going to feel really different.
The thing I really like about it is, I think when you talked about engine building, is it's one of those games where it's intimidating me.
I feel like you could hide behind it.
You definitely could. It's one of those things where you build an engine, and so even if someone kind of screws you out of something and buys the card you want, or even if they build a building in a city you want, you can build one there. It just costs a little more. But I can get satisfaction from just the act of building the engine and doing the stuff.
Right.
It's fun by itself to me, so it's not all about beating the other player or getting the most victory points.
You really liked Minion.
Yeah.
Because that's engine building as well.
It's as long as if I have fun doing the actions of it, then it doesn't even matter if I win, so it's cool.
So another Euro game that we picked up, speaking of engine building, Voyages of Marco Polo.
You didn't do it.
Sorry.
She never does it.
No. That's a lie.
You did it once. It's fair. This one has a lot going on in it, and it's kind of cool.
This one's a little bit more complicated than Concordia. So in this one, you are also trading goods
the Mediterranean and beyond.
The Mediterranean and beyond. And you do so by rolling dice, and then the numbers that you roll on the dice you can then use to purchase select actions that you want to take. And as you trade, you are also fulfilling contracts, which give you bonuses, and as you explore, you open yourself up to more actions that you can take based on the specific cities that you were visiting. Yeah. This one is particularly strange because each player has a different power, and the powers are crazy. Like, I think I heard it described as their game-breaking powers every time. And they all are. And depending on what power you get, it totally changes what strategy you want to play. And since we've only played this, twice now, and each time, or 3 times, yes, with different powers. I definitely have not learned yet how to adapt properly for my specific powers.
I call it the War Machine.
Has kicked my butt every time.
Every time. But it's like the War Machine game design. It's just like, oh, we can't make this balance by making everything like nice and equal. It's like, we'll just make everything crazy, and then no one can complain because everyone has a crazy power.
Yeah. So you have a different crazy power every time. The layout of the city powers are different every time. You have different goals for what cities you want to visit every time.
The contracts that come out
are different, and they give you different bonuses for each one. So there's a lot of randomness going on in this builder as well.
And then you don't know what exactly you can do on your turn until you roll the dice.
Oh, yes. Right.
So the dice thing is interesting because generally higher numbers are better, right? Generally. Because, like, if you turn in a 1 to get camels, because you can get camels, you get 1 camel. If you turn in a 6 to get camel, you get 6 camels. So 6 is obviously better, right? But if there are some actions that if someone's already done, then if you want to do it, you have to pay gold to the bank to be able to do it. And if you do that, you have to pay a number of gold equal to the lower number of the dice you put if you have put multiples. So in that case, yeah, you get 6 camels for your 6, but you have to pay 6 gold to use it.
Right.
Okay, maybe I don't want the 6 anymore. Like, for example, if you're using getting contracts, if you put a 4 down, you can choose from amongst the first 4. It's like, but if you only want the first 2, then you may as well put a 2 down. So you're like wasting the 4. And so it's interesting because there's one power where instead of rolling the dice, you get to choose what the faces are. And man, that just exploded my brain because sometimes you want 1s because you only want to move 1 and you don't want to have to pay extra, and sometimes you want 6s, and so it was very difficult. And
oddly enough, the rulebook recommends that is the first
it's a bad
power
idea.
that you play with.
I disagree.
Never use that on a first-time player because they'll have no idea what to pick. It's kind of absurd. I do like that this game has essentially 3 different types of currency. You have coins, you have camels, and you have the goods that you're trying to produce and then use to buy other things. So
you're constantly like, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough camels, I don't have enough
Maybe
silk.
That's just because it's the Forex trader in me that really likes trading between different currencies. I don't know, but I enjoyed that aspect. I also enjoyed that the game is relatively short. It says it's 20 to 25 minutes per player, and I think that's been accurate in the games that we played.
It's fun to have a heavy game that plays that quick.
Yeah, I don't know what would happen if we tried to scale this up to 4, but for 2 people, it seemed rather quick. Okay, so
that's Stephanie's Euro Bonanza.
Yes,
that happened.
Now we've also had the opportunity to play a lot of more silly party games this month.
It's true.
So the first one that I want to talk about is Karuba.
I love this game so much.
This is more of a family weight game rather than a silly party game, but it's still got a lot of interesting strategies. So the idea is everybody is playing with the same board of trying to move adventurers to their specific temples.
There's 4 adventurers that start on 2 sides of the board. And there's 4 temples of matching colors that are on the other 2 sides of the board.
And then you have one person who is basically a bingo caller. They pull a tile out and they call out the number. And everybody takes that tile and then decides, am I going to place it on my board? Or am I going to discard it and move adventurers the number of spaces that are on that tile?
And so it's just like rectangular grid, and everyone's adventurers and temples start on this corresponding spots, the same spots on the board, and everyone's placing the same tiles every time. So actually, it's like a puzzle, and everyone's playing the same puzzle at the same time.
Yeah, it's like if you mixed a puzzle with bingo, I think. Except the puzzles all turn out different. So
yeah, so what'll happen is, theoretically, if everyone chose to put the same tiles in the same spots every time, it would be like a complete tie and everyone would tie. And if you're playing with people who all think a lot alike, that might happen. But what'll generally happen is like, oh, I've got this 4-way intersection. One person goes, oh, I want to put it here. Another person goes, I want to put it here. And then you get to see who has the most foresight, right? Because the idea is you don't know what order the pieces are going to come out, so you have to try to like build this road so that all your guys can get to the same spot. But yeah, so it's a group puzzle game, which
right. And I like that we enjoyed it, and we're heavier gamers. Maybe we're not heavy gamers. Maybe you are. I don't know.
We don't play that many family games. Yeah.
But we also played this with a light gamer, and we played this with Adam's sister, who is only 8. She's the minimum age on the box, and she enjoyed it too. So
yeah, she almost didn't even care if like she got her dues to the place.
She beat somebody, so she was very happy about that. Yeah, so I enjoyed it. I am contemplating actually picking up another set so that we can play it with
8 players.
8 players, because it only comes with 4 boards, but it pretty much can scale infinitely. So
the only problem is the points for the getting to the places. I don't know how that would work.
Maybe the first 2 people
get the 5s.
Get the 5s, yeah.
Kuruba, it's cool.
Yes.
Tell your friends.
So getting more towards the party end of this, we finally played Concept.
We saw it on Shut Up and Sit Down, and it was hilarious.
Yes, so we picked it up.
You were a little ambivalent about this, right?
I was a little ambivalent because I saw somebody else playing it. I don't remember who before Shut Up and Sit Down, and it didn't look. They didn't seem like they were having a lot of fun with it. So it looked kind of like, oh, it's a game, I guess. But then when I saw people actually having fun with the game, I saw how it could work. So the idea is that it's like charades, except instead of
talking and gesturing.
Instead of gesturing, you are instead placing different pieces on different pictures. So can you give an example?
So if you were trying to say something easy like milk, you might say the main concept is that this is a food, and so there's like a picture of different kinds of foods, and then you put another that's a yellow question mark, I believe. Is that right? A green question mark. Green. So then you have green cubes. You can say, okay, something related to the concept of it being a food. You put it on there's one that's like a water drop. So you go, okay, water. It's liquid. It's a liquid food. Okay, it's a drink. And then you go put one on the color white, and you go, it's a white liquid. Milk. Okay, got it. Right. And that's like a simple one.
Right.
The more complicated one is like, I think they use like the Eiffel Tower. So you go, okay, it is a building. And there's a picture of like different buildings. And then as a sub-concept, you go, so instead of, then you take one of these exclamation points, maybe the blue exclamation point, and be like, the sub-concept of it's a place, and you put colors on like blue, white, and red. And you go, okay, it could be America, it could be England, it could be France. But like, so when we played, we did something like that, and I actually put it in the order blue, white, and red instead of red, white, and blue.
Right.
People are like, oh, he did it in that order. It's France. It's a building in France, Eiffel Tower. So the idea is you have up to 5 concepts you can do here, and you can just kind of go crazy with it.
Yeah, and the fun part is when you start to do more complicated ones, and people are getting really close to it but don't get it. So I had lightsaber, for example, and Adam literally said it's some sort of
space laser weapon.
Laser weapon, and never actually said lightsaber. I thought that was pretty ridiculous, and I was like pretty much acting out the whole movie at that point. I was like
evil.
I was like showing the Darth Vader. I was showing the Jedi.
You're like, it's evil and red, or it's good and green and blue.
Yeah, right. And they just didn't get it, and it was pretty amusing.
Yeah. One of our friends tried to do Indiana Jones, and so he did like, it's a person was the main concept with old dirt science. And he's like, it's an old dirt scientist. And he's just like, and then the sub-concept was group of people who are evil. And then he did like the German flag colors. And we're like, it's an old dirt scientist who fights Nazis. And he's just like, yes, go do it. It took us a while. We got there. So yeah, this is all about the people you play with, I think.
Yes, I think so.
Because if you stand there and just go, I don't know.
Serious gamers are not going to like Exactly.
They might.
Well, they might like it. I mean,
I'm just saying you have to make your own fun with it a little bit. Like,
yeah.
shouting out random silly things makes it 1,000 times more fun.
I shouldn't say serious gamers. I should say serious people. Probably.
Okay, there you go.
As much fun with it. And I think it also is more fun with a larger group.
Yeah.
So.
And it's if you don't like charades, you might still like this.
Yes.
Because it's a little more intellectual. Because you're like, okay,
I'm not a big fan of charades, so but I enjoyed this.
Because you're like limited by the certain set of concepts you can do. It's like it's almost like a puzzle. You're just like, okay, what can I describe about this in a ways that we got aspartame one time, and somehow I managed to do aspartame.
Yes, I guessed aspartame, but you did not guess lightsaber.
Well, I'm a better descriptor writer than you are.
All right, so that's concept.
That's concept.
And then the last silly game was Marrying Mr. Darcy. We got a couple games of this in. Now, this game it's not exactly a hard game. The idea is that you...
It's like no choices, almost no choices whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. The idea is that you are playing one of the characters in Pride and Prejudice. And
by Jane Austen.
By Jane Austen. And you are trying to marry one of the eligible suitors, also in that book.
Each character
gets
a hierarchy of suitors.
Points from the suitors, and then you have to make yourself attractive enough to the suitors that they want to marry you, which you do by playing cards that add to your wit or add to your beauty or so forth.
Each suitor has like a specific thing they're looking for, and each suitor is worth a different number of points to each person.
Yes.
So like,
and then you also do your proposals by the bottom up. So there's a chance that you might get proposed to by a person who doesn't earn you a lot of points. And then you could choose to reject the proposal, but then you might not receive the proposal from the person.
You become an old maid.
That you really want. You become an old maid.
It's silly.
It's very silly, and the ridiculousness of this game is when people really get into the characters that they're playing.
They get really mad if you steal their man, or
right, or like for example, I think Kitty is she loves parties, or maybe I think it was Lydia. So every time there was a party, whoever was playing Lydia just like started celebrating. Or you might draw cards that say something like,
there's a scandalous elopement.
And then everybody would freak out.
Everyone acts very shocked.
Yes, this is this is another game that's definitely all about the people that you're playing with. But it gives a chance to people to just sort of like let loose and be a little silly.
Because you literally just draw a card, do whatever it says. There's very little decision making till the end. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you kind of just go and do and be silly. Yeah.
So Marrying Mr. Darcy. All right. So the last board game we wanted to talk about, is Netrunner. So we got a bunch of Netrunner stuff on sale. Adam and I, neither of us are interested right now in playing any of the local tournament scene. So what we're doing instead is we're
mimicking the
release. We're playing a new one every game, basically. Well, every 2 games, because we switch off being the core and the runner. So right now, I think we're into the second data pack. Yeah. And we'll see how long we keep that up for. Yeah. So now.
So here's the story. There's a bigger story to this. I heard about Android, and it was like this crazy storytelling noir spy sci-fi adventure thing.
For reference, this is back when Android came out.
Just right when Android came out.
So 2008.
There are things that Stephanie likes. It is noir and sci-fi, right? Like those are 2 of Stephanie's favorite things. Me too. And so we're just like, all right. And if it's like a storytelling game, we're just like, oh man, this is awesome. Yeah. Android is a terrible game. It's awful, but it's a lot of fun. We really like it.
There's some games that
hot mess.
Yeah, there are some games that are just a hot mess, but I still really enjoy playing them. And Android is definitely one of those games.
The pinnacle of hot mess that you still enjoy. Like it's got way too much going on. You barely know what's happening. But the characters are all really cool and the story's really cool. And so we want to love this game, even though it is what it is. And so then when they rebranded Netrunner as Android, we're just like, oh man, I love the universe so much. And Stephanie keeps trying to talk herself into liking it. Right. Infiltration was not bad.
No.
and you read some of the books, and so like somebody's like,
Yeah.
we're really into the universe, and so we're like, okay, let's do this. It's interesting. The asymmetry is really cool. So we've been on and off trying to get into doing Netrunner for a while, but mainly just the two of us.
Right, exactly. So we're gonna see how it goes.
Yeah.
So right now I'm playing Shaper and Waylon.
I'm doing NBN and Criminal.
And we're planning to switch it up once we hit the first deluxe expansion.
Yeah.
And hopefully come July we'll have a lot more to talk about there, or we will have given it up. We will see.
Oh, we can play a little bit. That's acceptable too.
All right.
But it's Stephanie's first like CCG, LCG type thing too, so it's a new adventure. And
hopefully my only one, because it's pretty expensive.
It is, indeed.
And we have a lot of other games to play.
So you can see a little bit of Marco Polo on the front there. But it's Eclectic Gamer, so we got to talk about some other stuff. We'll go quickly over this since board games seem to be the most popular. But video games, what have you been playing, stuff?
Video games. So in June, I played 2 games that won a bunch of the Aggie Awards from AdventureGamer.com. I played Techno Babylon and Anna's Quest. So Techno Babylon is a game that, well, first off, it is done in Adventure Game Studio, which means that it's 256 colors and
pixel arty. It's
pixel arty, and you have to move the cursor and click on things, and so it's an older style adventure game. It's inventory puzzles, but not to the extent that the old LucasArts and Sierra games were. So it takes place in the future, in a city that is sort of irrelevant. It is managed by a robotic AI city manager, so that oversees everything and sees, oh, there's trouble here, send the police here, that sort of management. Your protagonist that you're playing is formerly a genetic engineer, like Gattaca style, whose wife got murdered, and he left and became a cop.
So it's sci-fi noir?
It's definitely sci-fi noir, yes. And so you start off by...
Told you.
You start off by trying to track this this person who's basically... Oh, I forgot to mention, everybody, of course, has an implant in their brain that allows them to connect directly to the net, or I don't remember what they refer to. Their connected internet experience. A lot of people, all they do is they play games on the net. Then so you're trying to track this guy who's hacking into people's brain chips and then murdering them.
Oh.
So you're trying to track down this brain chip serial killer, and then of course you start to uncover a vast conspiracy.
Obviously.
So as we were already established, I really like noir games. I like futuristic games, so this was definitely right up my alley. It's a shorter game. I think I only took it 4 or 5 hours to beat it, but I enjoyed that there was an engaging story along the entire way.
Lots of twists, you said, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of twists, and then you make a decision at the end that actually impacts the outcome.
Mass Effect 3.
So, so I enjoyed that. I think I played one and then I watched the other one on YouTube. So, yeah. So Techno Babylon, I recommend if you can get it at a good price for its low amount of game time if you enjoy that style of game.
All right. So me playing by myself, I've been playing League of Legends. It's a competitive, massive online battle arena, I think is what MOBA stands for. I've been playing a lot with my brother, going up in the ranks. I failed my promotions to silver 3 times, for anyone who knows what that means. It's very sad. I'll get there, though. We're making our way back.
Adam's very saddened by this. I, of course, don't play it, so I'm like, sure, okay.
So there's like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master, challenger tiers, right? And within each, most of those, there's 5. So it starts on bronze 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, silver 5, 4, 3, 2,
But
1.
basically, it's just like a sport, right? Once you get to the higher level, nothing changes in the game other than the people that you're playing against, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But so like it's a good way to like kind of figure out how good you are at the game, and for some reason like there's just so many factors in League of Legends like to consider that like it overrides my dislike of playing real time click it fast games, if that makes any sense. It's kind of odd, but there's enough like strategy, like high level strategy and different things you can scheme out that I like it. So playing EVE Online, building spaceships. I think there's anything else. That's basically what I'm playing. Oh, Overwatch, I got that. That was new. It's a first-person shooter kind of game.
Okay. So the other game that I played was Anna's Quest. So in this one, you're playing a little girl. She gets kidnapped by a witch. She finds out she has secret telekinetic powers. You know, your typical fairy tale. But in actuality, it's supposed to be making fun of fairy tales. So you're sort of going through, you escape, the witch is following you, you encounter this magical teddy bear who ends up being your companion and so forth. And then it sort of tries to flip the game on its head by going into the background of how the witch became so evil, that sort of thing. It was interesting. I thought that I didn't find the gameplay all that engaging through the entire game. I thought that a lot of it seemed kind of, even though it was supposed to be making fun of fairy tales, because it was mimicking them so closely, a lot of it didn't feel all that fresh and new until there was one part where she captures you and then basically imprisons you in hell, and in their version of hell there's a lot of like red tape and paperwork that you have to go through. Like for some reason it's fine that you just like wander around freely through it, but you have to but you have to deal with all these like bureaucratic nightmares. I was amused by that part, but to me that was probably the most amusing part. So I'm sort of on the fence about recommending Anna's Quest. But I'd say that if you like adventure games, you like fantasy settings, which I don't like as much, and you're looking for something that potentially has interesting twists and stories at the end, then you might be interested in this game.
Cool. And then together we're playing through the Game of Thrones Telltale episodic game. We just finished. Every year we marathon Game of Thrones, so we wait until the season's over and then watch the whole thing in a weekend. So we did that last weekend, and then we started playing the Game of Thrones because we had talked about it.
Right,
cool.
Which is a little confusing because it takes place before the season we just watched. So, and you're actually interacting with characters from the TV show. So I'd be like, wait, that person's not in this location, but then having to remind myself to rewind. But I think we can probably talk more about that.
When we finish the whole thing?
Next month after we finish the whole thing.
Just in general, it's sort of like you play some sort of like tangential characters that I don't think were ever actually in the show, but they're, they're related to people who were in the show, and so
I don't even think they're in the books from what I've read.
You get to interact with characters from the show who are all voice acted by the actors from the TV show, and it's sort of happening along the same time as other stuff's happening in the show, so it's kind of cool. So you get to like be in the background of actual like important scenes.
Yeah, we've already encountered the red wedding and the purple wedding and other key events.
Those are the two big ones.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, and you're like,
from the show,
you're definitely having to make like terrible choices a la Walking Dead.
Yes, it's like Walking Dead, but because you're playing multiple points of view, it's like Walking Dead times 4, 5. I forget how many there were.
That's fun though.
Yeah.
And my last thing is we're still playing our role-playing games on Monday. We're playing Pathfinder right now. We have Alex is doing our DMing, and we're doing the Serpent's Skull Adventure Path, where you're on a ship to crazy jungle, and you get shipwrecked on this island, and it's sort of this like, a lot of these Pathfinder adventure paths are sort of like experiments where like with how could we do a game like this, and so this is like sort of a sandboxy thing where there's just like dozens of encounters all over the island, and you can kind of go wherever you want on the island, and then stuff happens to you. And so we've been doing that. It's kind of fun. My character is Mr. Magoo, essentially. He's like an archaeologist, who is oblivious to everything around him and keeps walking off into random stuff.
Nice. And if you want to check that out, you guys
We stream that on Monday.
Mondays on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Between 7 and 8 Central is usually when we start. Has fun.
Okay.
It's very silly. We tend to be silly.
Cool.
Is that all of our gaming?
For today.
Last time? Yeah. All right. We'll be back with more. As you can see, there's more games just arrived that should be played. But until next time, I am Adam.
Stephanie.
And we're here from the Eclectic Gamer. Check out Facebook page, Twitter, like us on YouTube, check out the website, all that stuff.
Cool.
All right, bye.
Bye.